This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you by the Daily Herald.
We're here at Benet Academy with head coach Gene Heidkamp. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You've had a couple days to think about what just happened, I guess. What's your thoughts now that the season's over?
Well, it was a great season. It went by really quickly, and oftentimes when that happens, it means it's usually a pretty good season. So finally coming up for air a little bit right now, but it was an unbelievable experience for our guys, and really proud of our team for how they played all season, but particularly in the state tournament, and a little disappointed that we weren't able to get the last game, but really proud of their effort.
Before we get to the state tournament, just the season in general, obviously getting 31 wins in a season, setting a new school record, got to be pretty proud of that. But more so than that, this team wasn't expected to do a whole lot. So when you get a chance to see what they did and how far they've come, that's got to be pretty special for you, right?
It's really special the way that they accomplished what they did. They did it as a team, and oftentimes people talk about that, but this was reality this year. They relied on each other on offense and on defense. Every time that people counted them out, they seemed to bounce back and accept challenges, and just really an unbelievable accomplishment. And you mentioned the 31 wins. That's a nice record as well, obviously with the tradition of Benet basketball here. What I'm really proud of is the way they achieved the 31 wins. We played a really good schedule. There were no easy wins. Every game was a challenge for us. So to be able to answer the bell 31 times, I think, says a lot about these guys. And none of the games were easy, and we played probably as challenging a schedule as we played since I've been here. So I think that's really rewarding. But really the story of the season was the guys really buying into each other and playing as a team and doing the things that people, when coaches talk about, playing as a team and being focused and playing for each other, and then you see the success actually come their way. It's really rewarding because I think they deserved it.
And one reward that they also got was getting a co-conference championship. So
sure.
Something that hasn't been done here in a while. So
Right.
how's that?
Well, that was a great accomplishment. I think that's our fourth conference championship in the last 7 years. But to share it with Marion Catholic, who's an unbelievable team, and have to go through our conference season and only lose one game is really, really tough. Our league is one of the best around, right. From top to bottom. So that meant a lot to us to be able to be co-champs, and I think it helped us develop some confidence when we got to the state tournament that we can compete with some of the best teams around because of the fact that we play against such a good competition in our league every week.
Some of the best competition also coming from the Pontiac tournament.
Sure.
I heard Coach Mike Oliver from Curie talking about it being top 4 seeds or here at state. So
sure.
Didn't turn out the way you wanted there either, but getting a chance to see some of those top teams obviously helped you for the state tournament.
Well, absolutely. I think you hit on a good point. It didn't turn out the way that we wanted, but if it hadn't gone that way, we might not have made the state tournament run. So we found out a lot about our team when we lost to Joliet West. And to play against top-notch teams like that, we had to be better in certain areas, and I think we improved as the season went on. And when we saw that type of competition, and that type of athleticism later on through this state tournament and some of our other games in the second half of the season, I thought we did a much better job of being ready to compete. You look at great teams like Fenwick and the teams in our league, and you're looking at the Joliet West and everybody else that we had to play in our sectional. That experience at Pontiac, even though it didn't go our way, really helped us to learn about our team and prepare us for what was ahead of us.
And you mentioned that whole road through sectional, even that match, that game against York was, you got up early, they come back, and
sure.
That's a battle-tested team as well. So
well, York's had a great team. Every game we played in the state tournament was a challenge.
Yeah.
Our regional was really strong. We were losing to Willowbrook in the third quarter of that game, and we took a strong fourth quarter to pull it out, and we played a great Naperville Central team, and that game went right to the wire.
Right.
So even our regional on our home floor, both those games were tremendous challenges, and could have went either way. And then we got to the sectional and obviously played a great team in Hinsdale South that posed some challenges for us. And York is really battle tested. They're really well coached, great kids. I thought their team and our team were very similar, and I thought that game could have went either way as well. And they get to Joliet West, and we played well at DeKalb, and kind of was a nice springboard into the final final 2 games of the season.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the game against Hinsdale South, Barrett Benson being the kid that he is going to Northwestern.
Sure.
6'10", and you guys don't have a guy that's even over 6'4".
Right.
So what was the coaching philosophy in the way that you were able to handle him and still, not really lose who you are as a team?
Well, I think I give a lot of credit to our guys on the floor. You know, we were certainly not, we didn't match up well with their size, but we had to play great team defense, and I thought we did that for the most part. He's such a good player. He still scored 18 points even with our focus. But I thought we did enough to give ourselves a chance to win the game. And you know, I not only credit Danny, who was guarding him in the post, but really everybody for being focused and being oriented to the post and doing the things that we needed to do to try to give ourselves a chance to stay in the game.
It's been documented throughout newspapers and Comcast Sportsnet that, you know, not a Division I player on this team, yet you're able to be in the state final. So how are you able to find the matchups with the athleticism of other teams, maybe not having the same kind of athletics?
Sure. Well, I thought we have really good players on our team. I think sometimes that's overlooked. These guys are good players, and they, you know, if they weren't good players, we wouldn't have been in the position that we're in. And they play really well together, and their skill sets complemented each other. You know, we had multiple guys who could shoot. We had guys who could put the ball on the floor and get to the basket, but also create shots for other people. And we were a confident group. I think our schedule really prepared us, and our guys felt like they could play with anybody in the state. And I think they pretty much proved that through the course of it. But we had talented players that played well together. You know, too much is made out of the scholarship type of scenario. You know, these guys are really good high school players, and they, and you know, I'm really proud of our guys, and really thought that we can compete with anybody in the state, and I think that showed through.
Now getting to that state series, first game being against Simeon,
Sure.
That was that had to be pretty rewarding to get that win the way you guys did, and you know, when especially a lot of people were expecting a blowout in a sense.
Sure. Well, we felt like we could stay in the game with them because of our schedule and because of the talent level that we had. They're an unbelievable program. I mean, you're talking about the premier program in the state. We had unbelievable respect for their players and obviously their coaching staff. You know, it was a great win for us, but it was one of those games where we had to find a way to stay in the game, and we were lucky enough to do that. We made a few plays down the stretch. It was a great win to get us into that championship game, and probably one of the better wins in the history of the school. But proud of our guys. You know, it was one of those things where it didn't really affect us in the championship game. We certainly, you know, knew that Curie was an outstanding team as well, and that we were going to have to play well to beat them. But just to have the opportunity to play in the state championship and to be able to beat a great program like Simeon in the process meant a lot to our kids and our team and our program.
And Danny being the one to make the game-winning three, what do you say about his play over the 3 years that you got a chance to see him on varsity?
Well, I think Danny had an unbelievable career. If you look at the results, I mean, I think of Danny, I just think of a winner in general. You can break down the statistics any way you want, but you look at what he's accomplished. He's been a part of 78 wins for us. He's been on 2 teams that went downstate, made it to the championship game, won a conference championship, and we shared it with Marion Catholic. And you know, Danny's got a lot of heart. You know, he's got a lot of heart and a lot of toughness with some of the physical attributes that, you know, people talk about that other teams have and maybe we don't have as much of. You know, I think he made up for it with his toughness and his heart and his basketball IQ. So I can't say enough about what he's contributed. And you know, I know it's been well documented that he's a baseball first player, but he's a pretty good basketball player, and I think that that's something that he'll be remembered for a long time.
Not bad for a baseball player. Like
exactly,
you said.
Exactly. No, it's a pretty remarkable career.
Yeah. There's also other seniors on this team that are
Sure.
graduating that you got a chance to see. So what do you say about this senior group that's going to be leaving? And then, again, you also had, you know, a couple juniors that stepped up this
Sure.
year as well.
Well, the senior class, I thought they were kind of unheralded through their time here, and I think they really showed people what they were made of this year. Not only James Dockery was an unbelievable player for us, and he really had a great year, and Jason Malonga the same. But a lot of the guys who maybe didn't get as much playing time, their day-to-day efforts in practice, their leadership in the locker room, you know, how much it meant to them. The senior class as a whole was really responsible. You know, the juniors obviously as well. We were one team, and the juniors have really good players. But I think our seniors, your team is always kind of dictated by senior leadership, and some of it's on the floor and some of it's behind the scenes, and I couldn't ask for any more. Considering what the expectation was out of this class, they really came through in a huge way. So, you know, I think this is shared by all the players on the team, but the senior class really stepped up and did a remarkable job this year.
Seeing you after the game, that state championship game, you know, off camera you said, if you would have told me down here 2 times in 3 years,
Sure.
you would have took that. So,
Sure.
what's that?
Well, I think that sometimes when you get that close, it obviously hurts to not be able to come through at the very end. But the expectations for these guys weren't to be in the state championship game. Nobody really knew where this team was going to go. So you try to keep it in perspective. It's the second time in school history we made it to the state championship game. It just happens to be within 3 years' time. So sometimes that maybe is overlooked. But for this group of guys to make it to the state championship, especially having to beat a great team like Simeon and looking at the teams that we played through the course of the year, I think it speaks for itself. It's a season that'll be remembered around here for a long time.
And this morning, you guys got a chance to be paraded around the school
Sure.
a little bit. So, getting a chance to see, the students section and the coach and the teachers just interacting and giving you your due, it had to be pretty rewarding as well, right?
Well, I think it was really rewarding. I think the season was so exciting, and also these guys really grew up as a team, and I think they grew up on the court and off the court, and to receive that kind of gratitude from the school community is really rewarding, and I think our guys deserved it, but I think they're also really appreciative of it, and our faculty and student body has just been fantastic throughout this whole process, and it's been such an exciting time with our girls doing so well and our guys being a little bit of a surprise, I think, this year. I think that just for the school community as a whole, basketball has been really exciting, and not just for the teams, but for the students, the fans, our alums, and obviously our faculty. I think it's just been an unbelievable experience for everybody involved. And this year, I think we'll be remembered by everybody in the school community for a long time, just because of the success of both the boys and the girls.
Now you mentioned some of the alum. Have you got a chance to talk to any of them, like Sean
Sure.
O'Mara or
Sure.
Frank or anybody?
Well, Dave Sobolewski was at all the games, obviously, and he's been a big part of it. I talked to Frank by text and also on the phone on Friday and Saturday, and he was pulling for us pretty hard. And a lot of the other alums as well, maybe not the guys that have the household names, but they've been following us pretty closely. And Pat McInerney, I talked to him, who's playing baseball at Illinois and having a great experience there. And a lot of the guys who made who really made the experience for me here when I've been here, the experience that it's been. I've talked to a lot of those guys. I probably heard from 50 or 60 players. So it's been a crazy time, but that's probably the most rewarding and most fun for me, is to hear from those guys, because they're really loyal to the program, and they want to see us do well, and that means a lot to me.
Well, it's meant a lot to us to be able to cover you guys throughout this year. Again, congratulations on another successful season. We hope to see you again downstate next year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining me.
Thanks.